Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of StormCast. I'm your host, Tropics, and we also have Dan with us, and we're going to try and get Steven in here. So we got a couple topics to talk about tonight. Hope everyone's had a good week. We had some tornadoes go through Michigan the other day. Multiple tornadoes, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, even one in Kentucky. Also, another thing, we have a lot of tropical activity starting to brew in the Atlantic, so we're going to keep an eye on that. And then we're also hopefully going to be seeing some heat relief here in the coming weeks. So we'll start with that first topic. So Dan, tell us a little bit about some of these tornado reports that you saw on the Storm Prediction Center from yesterday.
Yeah, so a lot of tornadoes swept through the state of Michigan yesterday. I'm just going through some of the reports right now. A brief EF0 tornado touched down in Kent County near Perkins Avenue. That's going to be in Kent County, Michigan, in Grand Rapids. And an EF1 tornado in East Orleans and Iona County, Michigan. Let's see, there were several more. A brief EF0 tornado touched down about a mile northeast of Syracuse and Elkhart, Indiana. So that's probably as they moved forward. EF0 also this time again in Indiana, in Allen County. And then there's several more, even all the way down to Kentucky. An EF0 tornado was reported, and looks like the roof was torn off of a building. That's going to be in Barron County, Kentucky, and also through Ohio as well. An EF0 in Delaware County, Ohio, and looks like a couple more reports through Miami and Logan counties, Ohio. So quite an active day yesterday, actually. Through that area of the country with some relatively weak tornadoes, but tornadoes nonetheless.
There was a stronger one. I'm not sure if it made it on the reports there. I had heard of a EF3 tornado. It was actually on NBC News. Charles Russell had some video of it that I had seen. But thankfully, the weather's quieted down. That storm system is now kind of pushing off the New England coast. So severe weather is going to kind of be on the dwindle, especially this week. Not expecting a whole lot. Maybe some marginally severe weather across parts of the northern plains on Tuesdays for portions of the eastern Dakotas, Minnesota, maybe into Iowa, Nebraska, central Kansas. Just a marginal risk is what Storm Prediction Center has out. But the rest of the week looks pretty quiet. Now, let's switch gears a little bit, and we'll go from severe weather and we'll talk about the tropics, because this is where things are heating up. As we know, typically the climatological peak of the Atlantic hurricane season is about the second week in September, usually around September 10th to September 15th. Somewhere in there is typically the peak. And right now we do have one tropical storm, Fiona, still churning out in the central Atlantic, continues to move off to the west-northwest at 17 miles per hour. Currently has 40-mile-per-hour sustained winds with a minimum central pressure of 1,007 millibars. Currently not a threat to any land. Expected to continue to weaken to a depression by tomorrow, and then probably fizzle out somewhere southwest of Bermuda on Wednesday or Thursday. We'll have to see how far that storm can make it. But as we turn our gears and we move a little bit further east, we'll switch gears here to, let me show you this, out into the Atlantic Ocean. And so what you're looking at here is a map of current tropical activity in the Atlantic Basin. And so as we can see, we have Tropical Storm Fiona there in the central Atlantic, and we have a second area southeast of Fiona, only about 10% chance of possible development. And then our main area is just south of the Cape Verde Islands. Right now, this has an 80% chance of formation within the next 48 hours and a 90% chance of formation within the next 5 days. We're seeing a very well organized system that is associated with a tropical wave. About 250 miles south-southeast of the southern Cabo Verde Islands. Environmental conditions are going to be conducive for development, and we will likely see a new tropical depression form during the next day or two. The system has continued to stay on a west to west-northwest track at about 15 to 20 miles per hour over the eastern Atlantic. Now, let me switch gears here. Let me give you a look here at some of the models for this system, because this is kind of interesting. Some of these things have this thing really developing quite a bit. So let me pull that up here and I'll show that to you. Okay. Okay, that's Fiona. Okay. Well, we can start with this here. Let me put my screen share back on here for a minute. Okay, so this here, we'll start with Fiona. So this is what we're looking at here for Fiona, and we'll put this into motion. So as you can see, it's just kind of weaken out over the next couple of days as it moves off to the west-northwest, and then really just kind of become open-ended and fizzle out. So again, Fiona not showing a whole lot of activity. There's Bermuda there in this. I'll get back a couple frames.
Okay, guys, do you hear me now?
Yes, Steven, welcome.
Hello
okay,
there,
I'm going to
Steve.
see if this works or not.
Sounds like it's working fine to me. We see you and we hear you.
Okay.
So, like I was saying, this island here, that's Bermuda. So again, this storm here not really going to be a threat to any land, and it's just going to weaken out here is what we're looking at. Now, this is 96L, okay? This is that invest just south of the Cape Verde Islands. So let's actually put it back to the beginning, because this is really quite something. So here we're looking at this. Here are the Cape Verde Islands. Here's where it's at right now, about 1,009 millibars. Watch how this develops. We're going to do this step by step. Passes off to the south of the Cape Verde Islands. This is by Monday. This is Tuesday. So again, probably by tomorrow we'll have at least a tropical depression. 1,006 millibars. It's about a tropical depression strength. And then we start seeing it develop on Tuesday. So we're down to 1,004 millibars. This is at about 14 degrees north, 34 west. So just out in the Atlantic right now. By Wednesday, we'll probably have a tropical storm on our hands with about 1,003 millibars. So you can really see here how this thing's developing. Again, this is a GFS model that we're looking at. It's not completely closed yet. Again, this is just a model, but we see, you know, the bands really starting to develop here by Wednesday into Thursday. And then by Thursday, it kind of really gets its closed low together by Thursday. And then by late Thursday, we'll probably have possibly a hurricane, I would say. This is now at 20 degrees north, 44 degrees west. So.
And so, Joey, what's going to help fuel this depression here to make that turn into a hurricane?
What we're looking at specifically is nice warm ocean waters and a very weak wind shear environment. Wind shear is the one thing, like for tornadoes, you need wind shear. For hurricanes, you want no wind shear, so they're almost complete opposites. Is some of the parameters you need. So with hurricanes, you want no or very minimal wind shear. I wouldn't say no wind shear. You need some, but you want very minimal wind shear. So again, as we continue to bring this through, it's going to continue charging west. We're at 26 north, 50 degrees west. Go forward. Look at this now. 994. We're at about 55 degrees west, about 27 degrees north. So still out in the waters, but this thing is going to really develop here. Probably by next week at this time, we could be talking about a pretty decent hurricane out in the Atlantic.
And this one is still to the east. Is that the furthest one east that we were looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
That is this one out here.
Yeah, which is off the coast of Africa yet.
Yeah, it is off the coast of Africa right now. So, but I mean, the models are just really picking up on this particular storm. I mean, look at this, 967 millibars. That's a major hurricane by next Wednesday. Well, a week from Wednesday. And this is at 60 degrees west, 34 north.
And how soon do they start to put together storm tracks?
I can actually, give me a minute. I can pull those up here. Let me switch back off to my screen share. I have to go find it real quick. Excellent question. Could we do, I believe.
293.
There we go. This is what you're wanting to see here.
1 southwest. Caller says 2 to 4. Females are outside having a disturbance.
No, that's
Still
you.
the lavender. They both have cities.
I was there earlier, Christine.
Okay, so here is some of the storm tracks. Okay. There you go. That's what you're looking at for Invest 96L. So again, typically when these things if it rapidly strengthens, it does tend to curve sooner. Whereas if it were to remain weaker, hearing curves don't play as much of a factor in weaker tropical systems that continue to move off to the west. So if this thing takes a little bit longer to develop than what it's forecasted to, we will basically shift all of this to the left.
So as of right now, this really doesn't have much of a chance of striking the coast.
As of right now, again, this is still early. It hasn't even formed yet. Once it's formed, with these storm tracks, will probably could change substantially. But at this point, the highest threat would be maybe Bermuda, based on current storm tracks.
Okay.
So again, we'll have to keep an eye on it for sure. Keep an eye on it. So that is Invest 96L.
It would be interesting to see the strength and the power that it could develop into, like you were talking about, though, nonetheless.
That is, here we go. This is the guidance. So these are all the different models, and we can see some of them have it coming up to the AVNI model, brings it up to a Category 3 storm by 168 hours from now. So that's a major hurricane.
Yeah.
A lot of them have it coming into Category 1 range.
Yeah.
A lot of them have at least come into Category 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them have come into or approaching Category 2 strength, and then we have one model that's hitting on Category 3.
But there's also 5 that are showing tropical storm.
Oh, there are tons that are showing tropical storm strength here. All the models, I mean, this thing is definitely going to become a tropical storm. There's almost no doubt about that.
Well, I meant it would cap at tropical storm.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's 5 that have a cap in a tropical storm status.
Right, that's what I meant.
So. Now, notice some of these, like, for example, this one here, the SH FR, it only goes out to 72 hours. So it can't really predict anything past 72 hours. It's a short-range model. Again, this is a ensemble model, so it's all the models kind of plotted out for you.
And do any of these models have a history of being more accurate over another?
Not necessarily. That's why we like having different models, because
that's really kind of, I mean, we're talking anywhere between a mid-level tropical storm all the way up to a possible category 3.
By, 168 hours. Yeah, so there's a lot of range. But typically, you want to look within 12 hours. 12 to 24 hours. Anything beyond that, you kind of just ignore.
Sure.
But the 12 to 24 hours, usually that you can see it's kind of clustered, and then it really spreads out beyond it. So It's kind of like the cone of uncertainty that you see. This is where they get that from these models. So you can see as the longer the time goes along, the greater the uncertainty becomes.
Okay.
Excellent question, Dan.
Good.
So yeah, we'll definitely.
Well, not to put you on the spot, but maybe one more question. Its path seems to be similar to where Fiona is right now. So, I guess what kind of factors would be changing in the sense that Fiona doesn't look like it's going to intensify much more, but this particular storm, as it moves across to where Fiona is now, is forecasted to have a possibility to get up to a Category 3 hurricane right now. So I guess my question is what's changed between Fiona and I forgot the name.
The Invest 96.
Yeah. So what would be changing between then?
Well, the wind shear environment is one thing that's definitely changed. That's one thing that let me actually show this to you. Give me just a second.
Because I bet you there's a lot of other people that might be wondering the same question who are watching this. Because they look like they're taking similar paths, but we could have two very different outcomes as far as intensity goes.
Exactly. Let me show you some of the satellite imagery here. Okay. Let me show you the water vapor. No, not water vapor. Atlantic. Yeah, water vapor. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Let me share my screen here to the water vapor. Okay, so here we are looking at water vapor imagery. All the dark brown shading, you see all of that?
Yes.
That is all dry, stable air. This little blob, that little blob right here, that is Fiona. Okay? You can't really see Invest 96L. Will be kind of off the screen here on the right. In the black area, it's southeast of the Cape Verde Islands. But you can tell by the edge there's white, so that's unstable air. I mean, it's not dry air. You also want to look at the wind patterns. So there's not a whole lot of wind shear where it's at right now, whereas Fiona, well, what's left of Fiona is almost completely surrounded by this dry air, and you can see these northerly winds coming down.
Right.
South. That's the wind shear that it's just blowing those storm tops off the top of it, which is what kills it. With this Invest here, there's not a whole lot of wind shear. There's a lot of easterly to westerly flow, so you don't have. Obviously, the storm is tracking from east to west. So if the winds are blowing from east to west, they're blowing with the storm, not against the storm. So you don't have like harsh northerly winds or really fast westerly winds aloft. So that is going to be a big difference between Fiona's environment and Invest 96L's environment. Not as much dry air and a lot less wind shear.
Okay.
So,
There you go.
question. So again, those of you that may end up watching this, if you have questions, feel free to leave a comment in the video below on our YouTube page when you watch this. We will be more than happy to answer them. Also, want to let you guys know to, get connected with us on Facebook and all that stuff. Want to thank Steven for joining us. We're going to be doing, again, this StormCast. It was supposed to be at 10 o'clock tonight. Ended up being a little bit later because had some traffic issues on my way home with that major accident. So it's been pretty good, but we do appreciate it. So, Steven, how's the weather been up there, man?
Right now it's at 76, and it's been nice. Just to give everybody update, the tanker fire yesterday burned up to 10,000 gallons of diesel fuel.
Yeah, you had a pretty big tanker fire up where you were at. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, we saw I was at the game yesterday, and we saw the explosion, the fireball from that thing.
Wow.
And everybody started to scramble because we had off-duty firefighters from the airport, and they got called out, and there were some other firefighters like me and another guy who, we decided to take a break, so I didn't go on it, and the guy that was with me didn't go on it, so we took a little break because we fought too many fires already, and we want to hang out,
man.
out and have a good time.
Yeah. I want to let you guys know again, we'll be doing this next week, next Sunday night, hopefully at 10 o'clock. If you are interested in joining StormCast, let us know. Leave us a comment on our Facebook page. We would love to have you on as a guest on StormCast. Come on and ask us a question. We'll answer it live here on the air, and we'll look forward to doing that next week. Last topic for tonight is, again, Stephen kind of mentioned it. We're going to be hopefully starting to see a slight cool down. I'm not going to say a major cool down, but we could see a slight cool down in temperatures as not necessarily temperatures, but more humidity is going to be dropping as that cold front. There's going to be a cold front that's going to come through the east and the northeast especially. So we could see a slight drop in temperatures, and then supposed to kind of be back on the climb by later this week. Fall temperature outlook, again, looking for near to above normal, to slightly above normal temperatures for much of the southern half of the country, northeast, southwest for the next couple months. So it could be a pretty warm fall, whereas it will be a cooler fall for places like the northern plains into the western Great Lakes. So Dan, up there in Wisconsin, you could see a cooler fall in the next couple months. So enjoy that.
I am ready to get rid of this hot and humid air.
Yes. So again, I'm sure you are. We're ready to get rid of it down here in the south as well.
And we don't even get it nearly as bad as you do, and I'm still ready to get rid of it.
Yeah, I totally understand. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. And it'll be interesting to see when we get some of our first accumulating snowfall.
I will be happy to report on that, although Steve may beat me to it. I forget. He's way up there in Montana.
Up in Great Falls.
Steve, we will have a race to see who gets snow first.
Yeah.
Steve, when did you get your first snowfall last winter?
I can't even remember. That's a good question.
You think it was in like October or
something around there? We'll see what happens, and
we barely even got snowfall last year here in Atlanta. So,
I believe we had flurries as early as late September.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
But that doesn't stick around very long.
Yeah. So
it is about 54 degrees right now, just to
really
put things in perspective. Yep. So we are enjoying the cool down up here in the North Woods.
Wow. 54 there and about 74 here.
Yep.
Yeah, our overnight low is like 70 degrees. Woo! So,
Yeah, well, Wisconsin, like I said before, Wisconsin puts out an excessive heat warning when it gets above 70. So, no, just kidding. We don't do that.
again, definitely want to thank everyone for watching tonight and for watching. Whenever you get around to watching this, be sure to visit our website for more. We'll have this posted up on there as soon as we can. For Extreme Weather Videos, I'm Joy Pisani. That's Dan. And
Good night, everybody.
Phone. Again, would love to have you guys on here next week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook. We'll post the event up there. It's already posted next Sunday night right here on Google Hangouts and YouTube Live at 10 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night, everyone.